Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to be going over a 1.7 inch Rippin frog from Fat Guys Fishing. This is what it looks like on their website. This is what the actual frog looks like. It's $180 on the Fat Guys Fishing website. It's a 10 cavity, as you can see here. We're going to talk about a couple different things today. First, we're going to talk about just how it looks, overall appearance. We're going to talk about how it closes, stuff like that. But we're also going to talk about stuff like the flashing. We're going to inject some in the color black. It's usually just easier to see all of the dents and malfunctions that this mold may have. So we're going to go over that. And then I'm just going to give you guys my overall thoughts on this mold. So just like all of the Fat Guys Fishing molds, they are held together by these two little screws or whatever they're called. This one only has two because it's a smaller mold. Some like this dragonfly mold, they have three, but I have found that these little screws actually do a really good job at holding in the bait and kind of prevent a lot of flashing for the most part. We're just going to pour about a cup full of plastic into here, maybe a little less. Going to put that in the microwave for about 3 minutes. See if that can get warmed up. It needs to be about 350, 360 to shoot, and I'll let you guys know when it gets there. We're just going to do the Do-It Soft Baits black for our colorant. And then I'm going to toss in some black flake and then some smaller black flake. This is actually going to be one of the colors that's on my website. That is why I'm including these black flakes. Another thing I want to fill you guys in on is that it is currently 25 degrees out with a feel like of 16. And our garage is not insulated, so this mold is very cold, especially because it's aluminum. It gets very, very cold. So I do have it in front of a heater. If they are cold, a lot of the times there can be denting just because the mold or the plastisol will shrink very fast. Alright, so the plastisol has been in there for 3 minutes. As you can tell, it is pretty well cooked. I might have to mix it just a little bit, make sure. Yeah, as you can tell, there is a little bit of white that's coming up. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera or not, but I'm just going to put it in for just a little bit longer. Should be nice and warm. We're going to take it out. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, that's ready. You don't need a ton of black because black is super strong. So we're just going to give that a nice mix. That's what it looks like. I know it doesn't look like much on the knife. It's partially the light and just because it's so thin. Now we're just going to add some glitter. This is some of the big glitter. Now that I added both of those in, we're just going to give that a mix again. Because it is so cold out, the plastisol is cooling down very fast, so I might put it in the microwave for just 20 seconds or so. Get it back up to temperature before we shoot. Back out of the microwave, and it is back up to temperature, ready to be shot. So we're just gonna do that, push it down a little bit. Once it gets pretty good pressure, we're gonna stop and just hold it there. We're gonna bring it out and then fill the sprue if it needs filled. Just like that. And we're just gonna pour the rest of it back into our cup. We're just gonna let this bait sit just for a couple minutes and then we will undo it. One thing to be sure of is that you fill the mold entirely. You might have to pour a little bit in afterwards once it starts to shrink, but you just always want to make sure you top off the mold. Alright guys, we are going to undo this now, and here's what the baits look like, guys. So off first rip, they look, I think, pretty amazing. You can see this one does have a little bit of flashing, and you know, that might be the mold, that might be me. We can always do another run and just kind of see, but I mean, that might be, yeah, there's a little bit on this one too. But overall, there's not much flashing on these baits, especially not over here. This side, there's hardly any flashing. And I mean, if you're going to count that, you got to get really, really picky about your bait. I don't think the fish are going to care that much if you have, you know, however much flash that is. But overall, I think these baits are very, very good. Take them off the sprue now. They are super easy to go off the sprue. It comes down to a very quick point, just nice and easy to rip off. You're not going to rip off the head or anything, at least not if you just kind of pull them off. Here's what they look like in this water, in the cooling tub. So as you can tell, they look pretty good in here. That flashing is a lot harder to see in the actual water. Man, that is some freezing water, holy moly. But yeah, I mean, I think they look really good. I think the fish are going to like those even more. And another thing about these too is that, as you can tell, these tails really do displaying action, but they stay apart, which is awesome. You're not going to have your tails kind of braid together and form into one tail. They're going to have great action all the way around. So I really like these baits so far. Sometimes with the flashing, if you push too hard with the injector after they're already full, sometimes they can flash into over top of the edge like that. So I'm gonna run it one more time. I'm just gonna push a little softer and see how we can have those turn out. Since this mold does have the screws and it's not one that you clamp closed, you do want to make sure that you close these all the way. Sometimes they can kind of get stuck like right here, like that. And if you do that, obviously it's not going to be as tight. So just make sure you push them all the way, make them tight. That way you don't have any flashing. All right, everyone, the plastic is back up to temperature, so we're just going to do another round. This round, like I said, I'm just going to push a little harder, or a little softer. I'm not going to hold quite as much pressure. I still want to hold pressure just so I know that the mold fills, but I really don't want any flashing, so we're just going to hold it a little softer this time. Make sure we still fill up the top of the sprue, put the rest back into the cup. Alright guys, these seem to be pretty well done, so I am going to undo these now. Remember, like I said, I did do a lot less pressure on these, so hopefully there's not as much flashing. Really none on those at all. There was the most flashing on these ones over here, so let's check these. Yeah, I mean, that is really the only flashing I see at all. And it might even be exaggerated on the camera, I can't really tell. But guys, overall, there is not much flashing at all. Even though the mold might not be very warm, there's no denting, and even if I am pushing a little hard, there's not really much flashing. As you can tell, there is just a little bit of flash on this one right there, if you can see in the light. But yeah, I mean, take a look up close. This mold has no dents in it at all, other than the ridges like it's supposed to have. It has eyes just like a normal frog. I know so many different lakes and ponds that this would be amazing in, just doing a nice black color on a jig. So I love this mold, guys. I have already tried this mold in a variety of different colors. Here's a cream colored, here's white, and there's monkey milk. And then obviously, like I said, we already did the black. So overall, I mean, I've had quite a bit of experience with this mold the last week or two. And so far it's holding up great. It's an aluminum mold, so I expect it to be pretty high quality and stick to its word, stick to the mold that it's supposed to be. I'll show you guys this one. I haven't put it in the bag yet, but I mean, looking at the feet here, there's just the slightest little bit of flashing on there. There's no dents. The ridges are perfect. All the mold is pretty much perfect, guys. There's not really much wrong with it. The eyes come out pretty much perfect every time, as long as you have enough plastisol in there to fill them up. I like too that the legs are nice and thin, but they're also thick enough that they're not just going to rip apart after your first fish. But okay guys, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you guys like the review of this mold. If you guys don't make your own baits and you would like to pick up yourself a pack, I have these on my website coming January 31st. Everything right now is down on my website just because I'm redoing it, but I will have these 4 colors, that color, and several other colors on my website. So stay tuned for that January 31st if you guys want any. Other than that, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.